So out of all the people that get sent to the doctor because they have a suspected bleeding disorder, only about 30% gets actually diagnosed with one. And that number seems really low. So bleeding, hemostasis, how hard can it actually be? Well, let's find out. This is a piece of paper with some chicken fans stuck to it, but with some imagination, we can actually see one of our blood vessels with the endothelial cells lining the outside. Now, let's say we have some endothelial damage. Right now, our endothelial cell layer is damaged, which means that blood that is normally inside our vessel starts pouring out. So we do not want this. We need to fix this as fast as possible. So the very first step is actually that these endothelial cells recognize that there was damage, that something has died or has broken down. And the first answer to that is the release of von Willebrand factor. Von Willebrand factor is tightly packed, but once it gets released, it elongates in very long strings. And it functions also sort of like a net to capture different cells. And the first cell to capture is this, platelets. So when these platelets get caught in the von Willebrand factor net, and also upon contact with the collagen that is now exposed, they activate. And an activated platelet goes from this small round cell to basically stretching itself out and trying to hold on to everything it can find. And so as more and more platelets get caught and activated, they sort of all form this platelet plug. So the formation of this platelet plug is what we call the primary hemostasis. And it makes sure that blood cannot get out and the things that are outside these vessels cannot get into our bloodstream. Right now, this platelet plug is still quite vulnerable. It can easily be destroyed or be taken out. So we need to sort of strengthen it. And that's where the coagulation cascade comes in. And you can see it here. And it seems very complicated, but in essence, one protein activates the next, 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 until we finally get to the conversion of fibrin to fibrinogen. Stop the tape right there. You see, Stijn from the past here is making a mistake. It's actually the conversion from fibrinogen to fibrin. So it's the other way around. Hopefully that clears it up. Let's get back into the video. And these long strands of fibrin sort of tighten the clot down, much like you would load on a truck, for example. This is the final clot. It's nicely secured and making sure that there's enough time to heal the wound. And the healing starts with getting rid of the debris. Our endothelial cells start dividing and migrating again to make sure that the hole gets closed. So now our blood vessel is actually healed and it can function again. However, there's one final step, because the clot is still here and we do not want this, because other cells can get trapped into it and it can become bigger and bigger, and as such potentially clog the entire vessels. So we also have a final process that we call fibrinolysis. Fibrinolysis? Fibrinolysis?
Fibrinolysis.
And it's basically the activation of enzymes, proteins that we call plasmins, and these plasmins are like scissors. They start cutting down the fibrin. So now our clot is vulnerable again, also for other cutting proteins that slowly dissipate the entire clot. So now we are back at where we started, with an almost empty piece of cardboard or a healthy blood vessel. So I hope now you have seen all the processes that go into bleeding and the resolving of this. You can imagine that it's not always easy to understand what causes a bleeding disorder, because it can be in any part of these processes. Maybe you do not make enough fibrinogen, or your platelets do not get activated, or maybe your von Willebrand release is disturbed. And I think it's pretty amazing that most of these complicated processes actually just work in the majority of us and are probably happening right now. And with that thought, I'll leave you. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a wonderful day.